Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel. I'm at the Tiqets Culture Festival, and we're so happy to welcome you all today so that we can experience culture together from home but not alone. I'm seeing people joining from the Netherlands, from Romania, London, Atlanta, Georgia, Miami, Brazil, all over the map, Lisbon, Portugal. We're so glad that you are all able to join us at the Culture Festival today to take a virtual visit to Barcelona. Um, Today is our History Day, and we're about to be joined for an insider's tour of Casa Batlló, which we're so excited for. As people continue to join, I'll kick us off by just sharing some logistical information about how this event will work and what to expect. Hello. The Casa Batlló team is here and ready to go. So first, I'm just letting people know that we've muted most people's microphones. Please do stay on mute for the remainder of the call so that we don't have interruptions. And then we'll also be, and we're getting some noise from the street at Casa Batlló, I think, but we'll also be taking Q&A at the end of the session. So please just use the link in the Slido to answer any questions there. With that, I think Almikar is very much ready to kick us off and to show us the beautiful building. Do you want to touch on the mic? Great.
Hello, hello everyone. Do you see my screen?
Yes,
Rachel,
we see you crystal clear.
It's so clear?
Yep.
Perfect. I would like the sky would be so clear too here, but as you can see, we're in a very strange, rainy, pre-summer day in Barcelona. So,
I can't
but
see the
anyway,
screen.
sorry?
I cannot see the screen.
All right, so if you're having technical difficulties with your screen, on the bottom right-hand corner, there are 3 dots which you can click, and you can say change layout, and then select spotlight layout, and that way you'll always see Almikar. The video itself is working, so please do stay on camera.
Okay.
And if you do have technical difficulties, please use the chat so that we don't interrupt the presentation. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Well, as I was telling to you, today is a rainy, and a strange rainy day here in Barcelona, but the house, even the house in a rainy day, is very beautiful. So if you can see at this amazing building, you can see how the drops, but it's probably very difficult to see the drops, but this facade was made by Antoni Gaudí, already designed to avoid the damages of the rain. Of course, it gets wet, but it doesn't get completely wet. Actually, as you can see, all the windows are completely dry right now. Um, this house was built by Antoni Gaudí between 1904 and 1906. So this house is 114 years old, and it's made in the modernist style, what is called in France Art Nouveau, and in Guggen style in Germany. So, but Antoni Gaudí transformed a former 19th century building in this amazing work of art. And only few things he preserved from the previous buildings. And the previous building, we can also see some parts of the windows, these green doors that he put in the windows. But we will see the interior of this amazing house. We will get a drive. By the way, this umbrella that I'm wearing is inspired in this facade, which is made. The facade is made of material, a technique that is called trencadís. It's based on broken glasses, colorful broken glasses, in decorative and harmonic ways with other materials as ceramic plates, stone and marbles, stained glasses, and these amazing metal balconies that are also very beautiful. But let's go inside and let's start to visit the house. Is that another one? No, we will see very interesting facts about the house. One of them is also even in this fence. So Antoni Gaudí was inspired by nature in many sense, and for Antoni Gaudí also the straight line didn't exist. That's why a lot of his architecture is very curved. So if you see this part of the facade, all these are curved, are not completely straight, And we will see these kind of details in any single part of the house. So let's go inside. Let's get dry a little bit. And wow. So first of all, we have to start by the name of the house. So the name of the house was the name of the family that decided to build this house by Antoni Gaudí in this street. So we are in the Catalan or Barcelona version of the Champs-Élysées, and they bought the former building, and they requested to Antoni Gaudí to demolish it and to do a new building. But let me take the mask off. Ready. So Antoni Gaudí convinced them to refurbish, to transform the house, not to demolish them, not to demolish it. So he created an amazing house for the Batlló family, and he had two accesses. One access for the neighbors that used to live in the other floors, and the main access for the Batlló family. The family Batlló, the man was Josep Batlló. He was a very wealthy man, businessman. He did his business on textile, and he did a lot of money. He wanted to have a house made by Antoni Gaudí, and that's why he put his name to the house, which was very common at that time. And he did this amazing entrance for their own house, because, as I said, the other stair that is also very, very beautiful was used commonly for the people living in the rest of the floors. We will visit a couple of them if we have time. So the entrance, the magnificent entrance to the Casa Batlló house family, to the Batlló family, was this. So in this space, which is a kind of lobby, before going upstairs, wanted to express the originality, the originality of Gaudí's design, creating a complete curved place. So all this room, all the ceilings, all the walls are completely curved. It's like a bubble, but transformed and molded in a very, very curved lines. And he was very smart, thinking that they needed to put these wood protections, because at that time he did this wall made of stucco, which is a very strong material and very hard to clean very often. So he added these wood protections elements in all the technically in all of the floors, but the most elegant, the most fancy are in the Casa Batlló house, in the family Batlló the department. And he created also this amazing staircase. And this stair, all the wood materials are real sculptures. And these sculptures, some of the architects later on, they understood, they interpreted these shapes as the tail of a dragon. So Antoni Gaudí was a very intelligent man, was a very creative man. Actually, he was a genius in so many aspects. But he didn't write anything. He didn't put in paper what were his ideas, his inspirations. So there were his collaborators, his friends who wrote about him, and later on the architects that follow his who followed his experiences and his knowledge. Those were who wrote about Antoni Gaudí. So let's go upstairs, because family Batlló, he used to go upstairs as we're doing right now. This was a door used for the servants, for the people working and serving for the Batlló family. So these kind of small doors are here for appearing and disappearing the person that used to work for the Batlló family. And if we continue upstairs, we can also find another extraordinary contributions to the architecture and design made by Antoni Gaudí. So this amazing and colorful house is about to surprise you, because Antoni Gaudí was a master of light and master of color. So he created amazing shapes as those that we are seeing over there. So these now there are lamps, but they used to receive the natural light that is coming from 5 floors above us. So he was able to introduce light even in this very bottom bill floors. So in this place was the lobby for the office of Mr. Batll. So in this point, if you take to the right, you go to the office of Mr. Batll, to the main room, and in the left side, you go to the rooms, to the family rooms, where the dormitory is, where they used to rest and do another in-house activities. And this door was his private access to the elevator. So in this door, the family Batll, if they didn't want to come upstairs, they just had their own private access to the elevator. We will take the elevator later on. I just want to show you how they had the chance to just a private access. So the rest of the neighbors, they had to share the floors and also the elevators. But in this case, this is the original elevator made by Antoni Gaudí, which is really a work of art, a piece of art completely. Of course, of the machinery and the motor is contemporary for security reasons, of course, but the wood box is the original one. So, and it's very elegant access. So when Antoni Gaudí wanted to create this house, he also introduced very innovative uses of colors and light, as I mentioned. And this was the room of Mr. Batll. It's here where Mr. Batll did. We know what home office is, but at that time, wealthy people, they used to do this kind of office, home office, and this was his private office as well. So you can see here the luxurious. It's a small room. It's not huge, but the colors, and if you can see the echo, because there is also an acoustic element in this room, because it's also all the ceiling is completely curved. So we have this kind of echo effects almost everywhere in the house, actually. And this gold color, these gold lines that we can see, they are real gold. This is paper gold that is also decorating this room. And because of the room is so curved, when you move from one point to the other, the golden brightness comes up to your eyes. So it's like having an infinite amount of lights coming to your eyes, and in a very interesting way. And well, we are preparing for the reopening. That's why probably you will see many people working all around the house. And because of that, this was the fireplace for family Batll. So he had his office here, Mr. Batll, and they were able to use the fireplace. And it's an extraordinary fireplace. So any single part of the fireplace is integrated, is embedded in the architecture. So any single part of it, and it's very incredible. I've never seen actually a fireplace like this. And the materials are also special materials for reflecting the heat from the fireplace. And the chimneys that I hope we will be able to see at the roof are also very extraordinary. So let's continue visiting the house. We have a lot of house to visit. More effects of light designed by Antoni Gaudí, the stained glasses. So we don't used to see stained glasses inside the houses. Most of them are in the walls, in the windows of the churches or palaces, but he included internal stained glasses as this one. In this door, he added this color purple, blues, and pastel tones, because they were part of the frame of the room that we're going to join now. But once you enter and you turn back to see the other side, the same stained glasses changes their color. So now you can see, instead of purple and blue, you can see gold, brown, and more darker tones of the same glasses. And this is a composition of the room with the light, and thanks to the stained glasses that we can see in front of us. Well, another important element regarding the light, this huge building, the huge windows. As I mentioned before, this was a former 19th century building. Actually, if you can cross the camera, the facade of this building was more or less like the building in front of us, just very standard, common windows, square, rectangle windows. But Antoni Gaudí, he did a huge window, not just this, but also the other one that we're going to see right now. And he dramatically changed the way these windows are open. So allowed us to open it just with one single hand. I will show you the secret of this window in the next point. But allow them also to stop without any, without any, how can I say, stop point or mechanical instrument. Well, it's a mechanical instrument, but it's not visible as you can see. So if they wanted to open it a lot or a few, it was up to them at that time. And also, people at that time, when they lived in these houses, they wanted to have very fancy facades, and also to be able to see and be seen from inside and outside with amazing sculptures in the columns. So when this was the main room of the family, so here where they have their sofa, their couches, and in that side there was a chapel, a huge chapel that disappeared in the 50s, 1950s. So there was in that chapel there was an altar for praying with doors similar to this door. So when they wanted to have a lot of people, they had this large room. But when they wanted more privacy, they only needed to close them, as we are closing them right now. And that's it. Oh, they would be outside. So now they have more privacy. They have a small room over there, and then another small room here, and it's a very flexible room in that sense. All these doors are very well done, honestly, and for being 100 years old, are in a very, very good conservation status. The former building ended here, so this was the limit of the former building. These stones replaced the walls that had the former building. And Antoni Gaudí, inspired in nature, he took these walls from a mountain not far from Barcelona, but he chose them as they were. So he was not looking for the perfect stone with no spots. No, if the stone is like that, just put it in the place it has the conditions. And as I mentioned before, all these windows are also able to open with barely effort. And this is it because of a system based on the waves lift system that is this one. If the camera comes closest, these are the system that allows the doors be open and be closed. Now it's closed, and when you open, these are completely balanced to all of them. And the windows are different; they have different sizes. So he had to know how to balance the two. And it's a cable system, so it's complete physical knowledge applied to the new technology in this amazing window. Just if you compare the amount of light, it's really huge change. But the wife of Mr. Batll was not very happy with so much light, with so much like a pornographic view, so to be seen in these conditions, and he decided to put velvet curtains, and we can see in these stones those marks where the tubes that where this velvet hanged. So actually, Antoni Gaudí opened the light, and Mrs. Batll closes closet it with these velvet curtains. Well, those are different criteria. And so actually, Antoni Gaudí had several problems with the wives of his bosses. But well, these things happen. And this is the last room of this part of the house, and it's very, 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 very large. So these are like side sectors. This was another way to access to the dormitories, and just why not mention, actually, I cannot leave the room without mentioning this amazing lamp. This lamp is made by more than 3,000 glasses. It was restored last year. It disappeared for decades after the 50s, when the family Batlló, they sold the house, and the new owners, they just changed it, and several elements disappeared, and one of them was this lamp, and we found it. The restorers and architects found it just last year, and it's really, really incredible. So the composition of the whole ceiling with this hurricane shape is really, really very, very beautiful. And how he did it? Because he used to use metal element hanging from the former structure, and then to mold it in this way, and to put them stucco to cover it and to make it solid. It was really, really, really original, and of course inspired by nature. And last but not least, if you see, there are some hooks in the walls. So these hooks in the walls, they were used in the past for hanging frames and carpets and mirrors. If you come here, we can see a former historical picture. Here, this is the one. So in this historical picture, you can see the use of these hooks for a frame just next to the main door. You can see this. This picture is from 1927, so it's 20 years after the end of the house. So it's a very original style at that time. So let's go to the backyard, because if you are inspired in nature, you have to have plants somewhere. Before arriving, we will stop in one of the huge windows, because for allowing the light come inside the house, Antoni Gaudí developed these incredible, huge, gigant windows. These windows are, I think it's like a 4 or 5 meters tall. It's really huge. And why you want this kind of window in an interior? Because of the light. Because you need light coming from the top of the house. And if you are going up, the windows are getting smaller, because you have the access of the light closest to you, so you don't need a huge or large window. And also because for healthy reasons and for well-being, in these huge doors, Antoni Gaudí included these small doors. These doors were not just only for allowing the light, but for allowing the passage of the air. So the house were able to breathe. So the house was breathing. Actually, now that we are now here, after I open these small doors, I can feel how the air is coming inside and outside through them. So since they are individually possible to close and open, they were able to regulate the amount of air they wanted to have inside. So this is simple, amazing. And the same effect we have in these small windows. These are also elements that are very humble, not very visible, they are not very huge, but are very functional. If you even need more light, you have this, you can open and close, and that's it. Now we will left it closed. Well, let's come here. As I said, we are under restoration right now. So these are the kind of things that we used to do when we are close to the visitors. And in this model of the house, they can see the former facade. So this is This is the model of the former building. That's why it is a conventional, standard house at the time, because it was the model of the previous house. And we can see how changed, how different. You can see that in the facade they only have these four small windows, and Antoni Gaudí did a huge one from one wall to the other. So this is amazing, amazing change. And also, if we see the backside, the backyard, so the balconies were very standard balconies, so they were not extraordinary. We will see how they finished. And yeah, so at that time, one of the critiques of this kind of buildings was that they were so standard. They just were very easy to lost in the city because all the buildings were the same. It was like a critique of the standardization of the building, something that, of course, Antoni Gaudí completely vanished, at least in Casa Batlló's house. So we are moving also to the Batll, but before that, I mentioned a door in the middle of the stair, and here are also another stairs that were for allowed the servants of Mr. and Mrs. Batlló family. These were the one that they used to use for going to laundry, for going upstairs. So just to appear and disappear, because because the kitchen was just next to it, so it was a perfect place just to appear and disappear at convenience. And we are about to enter in the lunch room. So this is where they had a table with their own chairs for having dinner, lunch, breakfast. And this amazing lamp was also restored last year, was recovered in 2019. And just look at the shapes of these bulbs. They are like drops frozen in the roof. So of course they are made of stucco, but Antoni Gaudí wanted to have this very original shape. And the sound that you heard was this chair that Cillian had to touch, because also Antoni Gaudí, he designed the house, he rebuilt the house, but also he did the furniture for the interior of the house. And this is why we can do now reproductions. Actually, they are available to sell. So these reproductions are based on the one that Antoni Gaudí did for this house, and most of the furniture Antoni Gaudí just built for being part of the personality of the buildings he was working on. So let's go to the backyard, just to show you the backside of the facade. If the main facade of many buildings, they are also great, beautiful, amazing, but Antoni Gaudí moved that criteria to the backside also, and that's why he developed an amazing counter facade. Because as you can see, if you remember the model, now we are in a completely different building. Sorry for the noise. We are next to one of the most busiest streets in Barcelona, and if you see the fences, all these fences are, of course, they're not flat; they are curved, and there are some kind of tubes in the bottom, so they are just some centimeters outside the limit of the floor, and that was that it is like that for allowing people put their plants over there, and when they water their plants, the exceed of the water was not able to enter the building, but just dropping in the air. And so this was something very good. If you see the other contra facades of the other buildings, they are just standards. They are not extraordinary, even if they have very extraordinary facades. Probably only the last house, which is by another very good architect, is the contra facade is also amazing. But commonly, the contra facade was not so huge, not so great. But here, Antoni Gaudí, he did this gesture to give beautiness to this part that actually was only possible to see for for the people living here. And that art that you can see in the backyard, also in that wall, that's the end of the property. And in that part, the family Batlló, they used to put plant. Of course, this was the area for leisure for the family Batlló, and this amazing technique is the one that we have in the facade. And if we go inside, if we go closer, sorry, you can see that you can see the broken glasses, colorful broken glasses. This was a kind of recycled style of Antoni Gaudí, because he recycled a lot. He recycled a lot of things, and the plants they are made of ceramics, so they are not made of glass, but ceramics. And he did a composition with the ceramics and the colors of the glasses, and just putting blue next to the blues, yellow next to yellows, red next to reds, green next to the greens. So he did a very innovative, a creative composition. It was not a random design or random location. Well, let's go to visit the rest of the house. Follow me. Fortunately, it stopped to rain, so it's more nice to come. But yeah, it's full of details. One of the details I like most is this fence. Actually, the gate. It's incredible. So, of course, for having security, you need a fence. But what kind of fence is this? It's a gate, an amazing gate. Of course, it's not completely straight. It's curved, and it's very heavy, of course, but it's still functional in all the ways. So as I mentioned, this was the floor of the family Batlló, but now we're going to go upstairs to see another parts of the house. Just observe that the house is empty. Actually, yes, it's empty because it is there is no furniture inside, and we are planning to have. We are not planning actually to have furniture in the future, because when visitors they come, they have a kind of mobile device where they have augmented reality, so they can see the furniture in their screens. And for going upstairs, we hope we will have the chance to have the lift, and the lift stops here. Otherwise, we will have to go by going upstairs. Some people ask us if somebody lives in this house now. No, sadly, the last inhabitant of the house is just died last year. He used to live in the third floor. Yes, actually. Yeah, he died just last year, and now there is no one living in the house. Okay, the lift is coming, and if somebody stops here, it will be great. Buen días, perfecto. Okay, so those people that you saw in the lift, they are part of the maintenance team. We are preparing the reopening, which will be very, very soon, and we will do it, of course, applying all the security and hygienic measures that actually are not just minimum, but the opposite. We are upgrading the requirements for reopening. Now Barcelona is in the phase, there are 4 de-escalate phases, and we are in the number 2. The next will be the 3 in a couple of weeks, and by the month of July, we will confirm the day we will reopen. And here is our friend David with the super lift. Thank you, David. Welcome. Okay. Well, so we're going to stop by just in the next floor. Just observe. We were in an area where the ceramics in the walls were light blue, and now we are about to go upstairs. Not in this floor, but Before entering the balcony, let's check the chairs. Let's check out the chairs. So we have at the entrance of the store the chairs that Antoni Gaudí designed for the house. This is the most, this is the most tiny, the most humble for a humble activity, which is sewing. So this is the sewing chair that Antoni Gaudí designed for Mercedes Batlló. Sewing was hand sewing, of course, was a very common activity at that time in Barcelona. So it was an activity made mainly done by women, so they needed very comfortable and in some cases personalized chairs. So this chair was designed for the Mercedes Batlló body. And this is the double chair and the regular chair. So these are, and since they are very, very well done, so we even have this mirror just to show the back side of the chairs. It's only not very common to see this part of the furniture. Okay, let's join one of the. I hope it is open. Yes, it is. Come, Celia. Well, this is for me like the candy store. Yes, they sell candies, but everything here in the Casa Batlló store is really, really amazing. There's a web page, Casa Batlló store. Yes, casabatllostore.com, where you can find everything that you can see in this store is also online. Even the mask that I used just at the beginning. Just let me show you. If you come here, you can also see one of the elements that I like the most. I will open the window actually. Just let me, because Antoni Gaudí did a transition, and in this part, people were. This is a part that visitors they don't used to visit. So this is a transition of the stone facade to the rest of the facade, which is also very, very beautiful. This is the marble and sandstone. It's really amazing. There are sculptures, and all these sculptures are scanned in 3D scanner just to observe the erosion along the time. If you see in the facade at the top, we can see also the first balconies made by iron and metal. It's really, really beautiful. So let's continue upstairs, because I want to show you the fifth floor, and I think we will go upstairs. Yeah. So most of the things in the facade in the store are inspired by the house itself, of course, and many of them are handmade by artisans and so on and so forth. So last year, or about 1.5 years, we created a Art Nouveau saloon. So we call it the Salón Modernista, which is a place where we can see the furniture. Mm-hmm. Well, this place is the quietest place in the house actually, and I love it so much. So this furniture of the time of the beginning of 20th century and end of the 19th century, and it's really, really amazing. It's so quiet here. It's so peaceful. It's full of plants, and all the decoration is amazing. And when people they come here, they just simply relax. Absolutely. And actually, this is one of the things that I like to do the most. We could probably actually do the question and answer here. I would be very glad to stop by here for some minutes. But we have to continue because we have to go to the princess balcony. And in the regular visit, there is a camera here, which is now over there, and people they just take a very beautiful picture that they bring to their homes, and it's also a very, very fancy and incredible moment, because we in this part we try to we are inspired in pictures like this, family pictures of the beginning of 20th century. This is family Batlló, with Mr. Batlló and Mrs. Batlló and 4 of their 5 kids. There is a 5th kid that is not in this picture, but we can see his leg over here. And yeah, so it's a very, very beautiful part of the house with furniture. Sorry. Yeah, and it's very small actually, but it gives you a feeling of being in a home, not just in a house. Yeah, restoration of this part is also critical for all of us. Okay, so let's go upstairs because time is running, and I want to have a lot of questions. But just let me take a. Yeah, this is for me. I'm becoming thirsty. So yeah, let's go upstairs, but through the elevator again. The 5th floor. Yeah, we're about to end. You can see how the colors of the tiles is becoming darker and darker, and also how the windows are becoming smaller. This was the 4th floor, and here we are on the 5th floor. Yeah. Also, the light is increasing because now we are at the top of the building with this great dome made also at the beginning of 20th century by Antoni Gaudí. And this is actually the thing that allows us to have enough light in the rest of the building, because this amazing dome is not made of tiles. It's not covering. Well, yes, it's covering, but it's not blocking the light. It's very functional, but beautiful at the same time. And it allows the interior to become more light, more full of light. In that part, we are doing some restorations because the tiles are 100 years old. So restoration is needed. And this is one of the backstage of the restoration. And since now we are not having visitors, they are rushing for finishing it before we reopen. And if we come this way, yes, it's this way. The former building had only 4 floors, and Antoni Gaudí added this one. So this floor is, yeah, it's new. That's why you can see that the ceiling is different. The arches are different. Actually, there are arches. In the rest of the house, there are no arches. And are just very unique. So this is one of the most inspiring also rooms in the house. It's full of white color, full of light. And yeah, in this floor, there was no people living. This floor was only for the storage rooms. So people, they were able to have their belongings here. And yeah, it's really beautiful. Now it's part of the visit people. They can go out and see the balcony of the princess. And Antoni Gaudí says goodbye to the farewell people. I don't know if this effect is possible to see. I hope it is. Yeah, wonderful view, by the way. Oh. Let's just check the model. Do you remember the model of the former building? Absolutely, is not possible to compare with this one, which is the model of the contemporary Casa Batlló. You can see that we entered this way, and this was the main floor. We entered the store, which is here, and we just opened this window to see this balcony. Then we took the lift, and we are inside this floor, actually inside this balcony, by the way. And for the surface, we're going to go upstairs and right now. And yeah, it stopped raining, so we can have the question and answer at the top of the house. It's very, very nice. So as I mentioned, this was the place where the people they used to have their storage room. The family Batlló, they live in the main floor, so it was the whole floor for them. But the rest of the stages, they had two apartments, and the apartments didn't have numbers; they had letters. Actually, yeah. So there was the apartment B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. So, and this is this should to be part of the storage room and also the cleaning part of the house. So you can see here where they had their own place for do the laundry, and so and it all the light that you can see right now is a natural light, and it's a rainy, cloudy day in Barcelona, and there's so much light because in this part is where the natural light enters, but also the air. So it's very, very functional. It allows the house breathe. There are not these smells like something that is very old or in bad conditions. And oh, it's closed this way. Let's just go the other. Otherwise, we have to call. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. Oh, I think they are closed because it was raining. Just let me do a call, just to check if somebody can come to open us. Rachel, if there is someone asking something, just tell me no.
Yes. Yeah, so we have some questions that have come in. Please continue to put those in the link that I've put in the chat. One person wants to know what was the owner's business and how much did it cost to build the house?
Well, the business was textile. So he produces textiles, and we're not sure. Actually, I'm not sure about the price of the house at that time. Yeah. It's open? Great. Another question?
Yes, another one that came in is which parts of Casa Batlló are not open to the public and why?
Well, the part that are not open to the public are the floors number 3 and 4, 2, 3, and 4, because in the 2 is where we have the storage of the museum. In the 3, it was the former house of the last inhabitant of the house. And the 4 is where our offices are actually, and they are not open to the public. Yeah, those are the only floors that are not open to the public. Well, let's do a pause in the questions because we are in the roof. The lights that you can see now is because we are going to prepare the summer concerts very soon when we reopen. These are the chimneys. Each floor had 2 fireplaces, so that's why each apartment had 2 fireplaces. And Antoni Gaudí did the tubes and the conduction of the fog, the smoke, just to arrive to these amazing chimneys. And also he also added this technique, putting broken glass and colorful in this incredible shape. It's also inspired in kind of mushroom. This is like the savage mushrooms that you can find in the forest, especially in the fall. Some of these chimneys are also under restoration, so you can see them. These ones are before the restoration part. And the facade ends just in this direction. As you can see at the end, at the beginning of the visit, I talk about the tail of the dragon, because one of the interpretation of Casa Batlló is that it is the legend of Saint George made building. What it means? It means that we can find the dragon, the tail, also the cross of the sword of Saint George, which is killing the dragon. If we understand this part of the house, the top of the house as a dragon itself, that over there is the sword. It's a blessed sword because it has a cross at the top. So it's the how can I say, the winning of Saint George against the dragon. And if you can see over there some words, those letters, these are they say Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. So the Holy Family is in the facade. Antoni Gaudí was a very religious man, and he also did these kind of glimpses, or he put these hidden parts. Some of them were very, very visible. He was also a very nationalistic person. That's why it's coherent for his philosophy to include Saint George, because Saint George is the patron of Catalonia, and he, as a very proud Catalan architect, he wanted to express this national feeling almost everywhere. And yeah, so this is one of the interpretation of this part of the house, and we're going backwards just to see the backside of the garden. And well, it's beautiful to have this view after a rainy day. It's really, really bright, this moment of the day in Barcelona. And yeah, we can finish the tour in this part of the house. So if you can see from here, we were in that part of the backyard. So we were just next to that arch with those plants, next to those plants. And you can see just the balcony below us. It's also a very curved and original balcony, not as the other balconies in this part of the city. And actually, not very common to see these kind of balconies at all in Barcelona. So I hope you liked the visit to the house. There were a lot of things that we were not able to show you, but I'm sure that with this I hope this visit inspired you just to see the beautiness of the nature inside a building. And I'm ready for your very kind questions. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for showing us such a beautiful home and beautiful weather outside now too, to really appreciate it as we go through the Q&A. We have time for probably about 5 questions, and I'm doing it from the most voted on in Slido. So if anyone in the audience wants to click on that link in the chat to vote on their favorites as well, that'll help us prioritize. For now, I'll start at the top. Nick is asking, how was the top roof built and what material is it coated on?
Oh, good question. Well, Antoni Gaudí used to use bricks and cement at that time. Cement, sorry. Yeah, that's what is this made for. These arches that we saw just below my feet is made by yes, bricks. And also if you ask about the roof, this part of the roof is made of iron and also glass. Some of the ceramics is over there. And the main part of the facade is also ceramics. In the front part of the facade is ceramics of this kind of square shapes. And the back side of this part of the facade is made of also of broken ceramics. So the difference between this part and the rest of the facade is that this is made of broken ceramics, and in the main facade is glass, basically glass. The technique is more or less the same actually, but the material is different. And if you can see, from this point, you can see all these ceramics in the left are also, of course, all of them are handmade, and the colors are. Oh, there is no one exactly the same. So from this side is they're more like pink, and the other side are green or blue, pink. It's but it's very coherent combination of colors.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Someone else wants to know, how is it possible that light was coming from the roof to the lobby? I think they've probably seen a little more of the
Yeah.
design. Do you want to speak a little more to how the light flows out throughout the building?
Yeah, of course. Actually, a couple of months or just in last June, I found a research paper that did an analysis. They did a measurement of, they measured the amount of light that were entering through this roof, just how much light entered the different floors, and it was really incredible because there were a lot of light. So how he did it, actually, this is one of the reasons this house is in the UNESCO World Heritage List, because it is a masterpiece of the creation of the geniality creative by Gaudí, and also because Gaudí did a very original contribution to the architecture in general, universal architecture, and also because he knew how to merge the traditional knowledge with the innovation. So to make ceramics and glass, and that was very common at that time. Actually, it's very common right now. But the composition that he did was amazing. So this is one of the criteria why this house is in UNESCO World Heritage List. So yeah, it's a masterpiece of engineering, actually, by the way.
And someone else asked, how much effort is it to maintain and restore the house? What are the challenges you guys face with restoration and maintenance?
Well, we have in our webpage, casabatlló.es, in our webpage, you can find several examples of how we deal with the restorations being open to the public in a honestly very small house. So this is all what you see. This is the complete house. There is no more. There are no more square meters. So how we do it? We are a very committed and very creative team. I think honestly we are a multidisciplinary multidisciplinary team inspired by the genius of Antoni Gaudí. We put a lot of passion in our work. So when we have to deal with the restoration and being open to the public, just to invite people to see how we restore it, we put all our creativity in the service of the people. So we have I call it a people-based approach. So the heritage is important, but we are more worried about how people understand heritage. And when you understand that the most important part of heritage is the people, you open your mind in a different way, and you understand that the stones and the materials are nothing if there is no one who takes care of it and who understands it, and why not to say to love it. And we love the house, and we put this passion and creativity to in service to the visitor, as we are just doing right now.
Great. And we have a couple more questions about the material of the house. One person wants to know if it's made of reinforced concrete, and someone else wants to hear more about the wood that he used in the house.
Good question also, because as I mentioned, Antoni Gaudí didn't build the former building. So he found a building. It was the building of 1877. It was like 30 something years old, that building, and he transformed it. So he had to adapt the structure of the previous building that he didn't build. So the architects, they know more about how he was able to join this former building with these new additions. As far as I know, there is no this kind of concrete question. There is no this. Can you repeat the exact term, Rachel?
Reinforced concrete.
Reinforced concrete. As far as I know, he didn't use this reinforced concrete. He in the facade, for having taken off the wall and putting this huge window, he just was hanging the rest of the house with sticks, wood sticks, and then he put the columns, and that's it. But it's sustainable. So there are studies of engineering. The house is possible to stand. It's not going to fall down. But yeah, he used, since he did a very innovation in engineering, the arches that we saw in this previous floor are very, very light. They're not very heavy, because he did a very efficient use of the materials, just avoiding to increase the waste to the building, and because of using this arch, catenarium arch, in this part of the house.
Fabulous. And then this is,
sorry, yeah, and the wood. There are different kinds of wood. Most of them are pines, different kind of pines, and the doors also are made of different elements of pines. Now we're not next to any door, but yeah, in our webpage you can find these amazing pictures of the doors. I know that people there in Pinterest and other apps, they have this collection of doors around the world, and these doors are really, really, really beautiful. And some of them are under restoration right now.
Great. And then one final question as we're just about wrapping up. The last question that Melissa is, does the name Batll have a meaning? Why is the house named what it is?
You have gave me a very good job to ask myself and the researchers what the word Batlló means. As far as I don't know exactly. It's a name in Catalan, Batlló, but I don't actually know what's the meaning of that word. If we can take your data, we can share with you the information of the origin of that word, the Batlló word.
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad we stumped you. We can do one final one then, since there's a little bit of time. One final person wants to know, is everything original in the modernist salon?
Well, they are not, how can I say? They're authentic, and that's a different word. They are not original from the house, but they are authentic. So what means authenticity? So this furniture belongs to another houses from the same period, and we wanted to recreate a room like it was at that time in several houses of the same period. They are not original from Casa Batlló. They are coming from another place, but they are authentic to the kind of furniture that families like the family Batlló used to have in their houses at that time.
Great. Thank you so much for showing us around the home today. I see people from all over the world writing their thanks in the chat comment as well. I know we all really enjoyed it. So for everyone on the line, you can still sign up for more Culture Festival sessions on the landing page that you signed up for this one on, or check out the Tiqets blog for more inspiration on ways to experience culture both from home and when it's safe again in your area, out and about once again. And of course, as Emma said, there's lots more on Casa Batlló on their website, so you can continue your learning after this session. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for presenting. And we hope to see you all again soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much, and take care.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.